Hello, this is JB. Today I'm going to be talking about my memories of living in Kansas. So I'm originally from North Carolina. I never had any um, thought of living in Kansas, but I ended up there. Um, for a while, I lived in Arizona, 2006, 2008, and then at the end of 2008, uh, was looking for somewhere else to go because the economy was collapsing. We had the Great Recession, which almost turned into a Great Depression, and I realized that I would need a job that would be required uh, in the economy no matter what happened. So I had been working in seafood processing in the summer while I was going to Pima Community College in Tucson in the winter and the spring. And so I was looking for some sort of job in the food processing industry because no matter if you have a great recession, a Great Depression, or something worse, people have to eat. You still got to eat. So you got to figure out some way to do that. And so I knew that no matter what happened with the economy, people were still going to get hungry. And so I would still have a job. Um, and so I kind of looked around, applied to some places, random places in different states, and a business in Kansas, Dodge City, Kansas, called National Beef. It's a very large meat packing company. They sent me or invited me for an interview. So I went there, interviewed with them, and also interviewed with another company called Cargill Meat Solutions, which is a meat packing company, even larger. And I ended up going to work for Cargill Meat Solutions, and I was at first I had a knife job, so I was cutting up meat with the knife like a butcher, and it was terrible because every time I would go on break, people would steal my knives, and because I was like basically the only Caucasian person there, everybody else was a Spanish speaker or from some other place where they spoke a different language, and so uh, people would just take advantage. And so I eventually was moved to a saw, operated a saw, and I cut uh, a part of the cow for the chuck. So it's like the ribs that come off the um, top part of the cow. But so I did that, and basically what I did was I took these large pieces of meat, moved it in front of the saw, cut the rib, uh, and this is like 50, 60 pounds or more of meat. And I did this like thousands of times per day, every day. And it was a terrible job. Did not like it because I had always done very well in school academically. I had a lot of interest in things. I like to learn. I like to do progress. And in that job, you don't. You just do the same thing every day like a machine because you are a machine, a human machine. And I did not enjoy that. But at a certain point at that job, they allowed us to use these noise canceling earphones that would protect your hearing from the loud noises within the plant, but they would also allow you to listen to music. And I didn't listen to music, but I listened to lectures, mostly law, political science, history, and discussions about current events. And I got a real education because I listened 8 hours a day, 200 and some days a year, like 280, 90, 300 maybe days per year. And then sometimes more than 8 hours a day. So I listened to many thousands of hours of during a couple year time, many hours of educational content. And after work, or actually before work, because I worked the second shift, but before work, I would, starting in 2013, so I first got there in early 2009, late 2008, started working early 2009, and then 2012, I took some online classes from Fort Hays State University, which actually wasn't very far away. But I took some classes, and then in 2013, I was reading the newspaper, the Dodge City Daily Globe, and I saw an advertisement that said they were hiring a reporter, and I had wanted to be a reporter my whole life because I loved the radio, I loved newspapers, I loved the news ever since I was like 5 or 6 years old. I'd always watched the news. I used to, when I was in elementary school, I took the newspaper to school and read it while the teacher was talking, or sometimes before or after. But so I was really interested in news, and I just applied. Even though I didn't have a college degree, I didn't have experience, I just applied. And the editor, a publisher of the newspaper at that time, his name was Conrad Easterday. He was a man who had, I don't know, 30 some years, 35 years experience in newspaper business. He knew a lot about it. He went to Kansas, University of Kansas for journalism, or Kansas State, I can't remember. But anyhow, he had education experience, very good at what he did, small town newspaper reporter and publisher, editor. And so I worked for them as a, how do you call this, freelance. So we had a contract. I wasn't a regular employee, and I just wrote several stories a week, and they let me pick my own stories. I could write about whatever I wanted, mostly news stories. I wrote stories about people and different things that were happening, different events in the community. Sometimes they would suggest stories, but for the most part, they let me do what I wanted. And at a certain point, they offered me a job, but I was making more money chopping up meat, working with people who had no education whatsoever, or some of them had actually some, but not a lot of education. And they offered me $12 to work per hour to work for this newspaper, and I said, I'm sorry, but I can't do it because I have to pay my bills, and I can't pay my bills with $12 an hour. And this was back in 2013. And so I didn't take the job, but I continued to report on a freelance basis. And I enjoyed that because I got to interview all kinds of people from the community, just regular people. And I interviewed business leaders, I interviewed lawyers, the district attorney, United States Attorney for the District of Kansas, the Attorney General of Kansas. I met the governor. I met a member of the legislature. I met the mayor of Dodge City, lots of different people. And I enjoyed that because that was the kind of thing that I was interested in and still interested in. And at a certain point, they had a sports writer named John Curtis. And John Curtis was a pretty nice man, and he had a lot of experience with sports reporting. He was very good at it, and he liked it. But he had very poor health because he was a very large man. I don't know the exact statistics, but I would say something like 5'11". He was 5'11", and then maybe 450, 500 pounds. So something was going on there. I don't know what it was, but he was rather large, and he got into bad health, and so I took over the sports reporting for a while, which was great for me because I got to go to the sporting events for free. I got to cover sports, which I wanted to do ever since I was a little kid. And I covered racing, college softball, baseball, the Summer League Baseball, Dodge City A's, college football, junior college, the Dodge City Community College, soccer at high school and junior college, Dodge City Community College, and then what else? One basketball game. I covered racing, dirt track racing, and truck racing, some sort of truck racing that they have that's in stadiums. Kind of like the Baja type trucks, but it was within the stadium. And also, I covered high school football. So, and the very beginning of, they had a professional indoor football team that was later named the Dodge City Law. I covered them when that was announced, and I ended up working with them at one point. Um, so I got to do a lot of different things. I enjoyed highlighting local nonprofits and the work that they were doing to try to explain to people who might need their help, or people who might be able to help them help people by donating money or whatnot, or services. And so I enjoyed that because I met a lot of different people all across the town in a very short amount of time. I was with the paper for like a year. But that was good. And so, and I did that, like I say, in the morning. And then when I would come home from work, a lot of times I would write stories when I got home. So sometimes I would I would work like 16, 18 hours a day between the two jobs. And I after the newspaper thing ended, I contacted the Dodge City Law, that professional indoor football team. They were in the Champions Professional Indoor Football League. It was their inaugural season, and I said that I wanted to write stories to help promote the team, and they needed that because they didn't have anybody that was good at that. They had someone who was supposed to do it, who was a part owner of the team. Her name was Joy Ponder, but she was not good, and I was much better at it. And so I did that, and they didn't pay me. Other than they took me to the games, they gave me free stuff, they gave me food, some food. They were supposed to give me a lot more, but but they gave me some food, and every once in a while they give me a ride or something. But I wasn't doing it for the money. I was doing it for the experience, and also to meet people and to promote the team, because I wanted the team to succeed in Dodge City. And I feel like I did really good in there. I'm still friends with a lot of the people who were on the team or were involved with the team. And then that's their first year ended in 2014. And throughout that time, the whole time that I was in Dodge City and I was working at Cargill, that meatpacking plant, I had been involved in issues affecting workers. I was a member of the union. I was a union steward. I was paid employee of the union for a while. Even before that, when I was working in Alaska in the seafood processing, I had been involved in workers' issues, helping workers and helping teach them about their rights, because a lot of the people were from different parts of the world and they have no idea about the American legal system and what their rights are in the workplace here. So I did that on my own. But I had been going through a lot of struggles with the company that I was working for, because I was helping other people assert their rights, to protect their own rights. And I was also going through some trouble with the union, because there was a corrupt union leader who was doing things that benefited him and not the members. And the whole job of the union leader is supposed to be to benefit the members, but he was benefiting himself. He's making these huge salaries, and well, so there was a union president who was doing that, and then there was the union secretary treasurer, and he ended up taking over for the guy who left. And the secretary treasurer who took over, named Martin Rosas, he ended up raising his salary even more. He went from, I think it was like 175 per year to almost 400 per year. And he was doing all kinds of things that benefited him financially, good for him, but they weren't good for workers, because it was taking money away from services for the workers, like having people there to investigate when things went wrong in the workplace, and to negotiate with the company and resolve issues on behalf of the workers. The union took this stance that they should get along with the company and not have disagreements, And that worked well for them because then they don't have to spend as much money, but it wasn't good for the workers because the workers' rights weren't being protected. And so I made an issue of that because every week the workers were paying union dues, but they weren't getting the benefit of those dues. And that was very upsetting to me because I believed in the union, I believed in the union leaders, and then I looked in and found out that what they were saying wasn't actually what they were doing. And I learned quite a bit about union democracy. So the power of a union is supposed to come from the workers, from the members, and not from the union leaders. The union leader is supposed to be there to work on the behalf of the members. But sometimes union leaders, like the ones at that particular union, UFCW Local 2, they saw it the other way around. They thought the power came from them, and the union members should just shut their mouths and get in line and do what they say, and shouldn't ask questions and shouldn't demand answers and shouldn't have opinions of their own. And so I organized people. I talked to them about what was going on. I still do that. Even just the other day, someone called me and asked me questions. But so that was like a big struggle for me. And it was very draining on me because I was already working a full-time job. At certain points, 2 full-time jobs. Or almost full-time jobs. 2 jobs, 1 main job, and then a part-time or full-time job. And then doing other things in the community. I was going to sporting events. I was going to concerts. I had friends. At that time, I drank alcohol. I had my own life, so I was just doing a lot. And after being there 6 years, 5.5 years, I was just worn out. I was tired. And people in my family had passed away. My uncle had died. My great uncle, two different uncles died. My dad's brother and my mom's sister's husband. They had both died, and then other things had happened. I had a nephew born, my first nephew, and different things were happening in my family, and I wanted to be closer to my family because I had been apart from them at that point for like 8 years, 10 years, 8 years. And so I moved back to Charlotte, North Carolina in the the summer of 2014. Basically what happened is one day I just told the boss at the meatpacking plant, Cargill, that I wasn't going to be working there anymore, and I left. And I didn't like the way they had treated me, and I was upset. And the superintendent called me. He said, "Jared, please come back. We need you. You're good at your job. No, we don't have anybody to take your spot." And I said, "Hey, thank you for calling. I appreciate it so much, but I'm not coming back. I've already made my decision, and I'm leaving. Goodbye." And that was it. And that man's name was Ron Jensen. He's no longer with us. He died a few years ago. But the way things worked in the plants is that the people who ran the plants treated the workers terribly. And the reason they did it is because they were trying to increase production and increase efficiency so they could increase profit. And the reason they were doing that is because they were getting a lot of pressure from way at the top of this huge corporation. It was the largest, maybe still is, the largest privately held corporation in the world, Cargill. Large agricultural companies. So if you look in your cupboard or in your refrigerator, you absolutely, positively, 100% have something in there that came from a Cargill company. Whether it's like corn or beans or salt or any other thing that you put in food, or meat, chicken, pork, different oils. There's something that came from a Cargill company in there because it's so big. But that company, since it's so separated from the people that actually do the work, the headquarters is that it's impersonal, and they don't care about how the people are affected. Because like the work in the packing plants is very difficult, very hard physically, and there's a lot of pressure, and there's all sorts of other things going on. There's racism, there's just mistreatment of people because they're different, because they have different religion, different um, culture, different beliefs, different language, all sorts of uh, bad situations. And the union's supposed to help with those things, help bring people together so that they can work together and fix problems. But the union doesn't do that because the union leaders are more focused on keeping their income steady. And the way they do that is what I said before. They keep relations smooth with the company. And like they say, oh, we're fighting the company. We're going to get them. These guys are bad. But really, they're not doing anything. They're just collecting the money and then kicking the can down the road and never fixing problems. Just saying, oh, don't worry, we're going to get them. And they never do nothing. And then they never give answers. They always say, oh, yeah, we're doing that investigation. Don't worry, we're going to do it. And they never do it. And so, like, it's just a really bad situation. I for the 5.5 years that I was there, I made money during a very difficult time economically for the country. So that was good because I always had a job, always had work. We worked pretty steady. Sometimes a little less than 40 hours, but sometimes a lot more than 40 hours. But I always had a job, and that was good because there was people I knew who didn't have a job and people I knew who lost their homes and all kinds of things. But so I had that, and then when the right time came, I left, and that was it. But living in Southwest Kansas, it's different, especially if you're from a city, because it's like Dodge City. It's a small town, so there's 25,000 people, and everything outside of the town is agriculture. All kinds of agriculture, cattle, corn, wheat, different products. But it's very rural, and it's very dry. It's not a desert, but it's dry. There's not a lot of rain there, and so there's not like a lot of rivers and lakes and stuff like that. And it feels like very isolating because there's not very many cities. Sometimes I would, get on a bus or go with a friend. We would go to Wichita and go to the mall because I mean you could buy things online back then, but people still went to malls back then. So we would go to the mall or different stores, Walmart, whatever. Um, Sometimes I would take the train, go to like Lawrence, Kansas, which is a bigger city where University of Kansas is, the Jayhawks, and then or I'd go to Kansas City, or I would go up even further to Chicago. I like doing that. That was great. And then sometimes I would go west, Colorado, New Mexico. I went to Colorado, Trinidad. I went to New Mexico, and what's the name of the town? Raton, Raton, in New Mexico, and Albuquerque. One time I went to Flagstaff, Arizona, take the train. And then I could also, they had a small airport in Dodge City. Remember I said it's only 25,000, but you could still go to some main hubs. You could fly to, I think it was Kansas City and Denver and Dallas at a certain point. So if you could get to one of those bigger cities, you could go anywhere you wanted to go. And so I would fly every once in a while and go someplace. And I went to Denver twice because I won a auction for 2 tickets to Denver, and I went to Denver and watched some football games at Colorado, in Boulder, Colorado, before they were famous. Well, as famous before Deion Sanders, Coach Prime, came there. I went and saw Arizona, where I now have a master's degree from, and also Oregon. Saw them play football, but it was always nice to leave Dodge City to go to a city where there's more going on, because it could be very sleepy in Dodge City. Like, I knew a lot of people because of my work in the plant, and even more people knew who I was. So, like, if I went to a bar or someplace or some festival or something going on, people would know me and I could talk to people, but I didn't have a whole lot of friends there, like real friends. I had people who were friendly with me that would, hey, how you doing, Jared? But they weren't like my best friends. Like, they're gonna invite me over for Thanksgiving and all that. And but like, it's just nice to be in a city where more is going on. there's more options about things to do, and it just feels livelier because at night, unless you're inside of a bar, like Dodge City feels like asleep because there's just not that many people out. But I met a lot of good people in Dodge City. A lot of them I still talk to. Um, and I think by living in Dodge City and living in Alaska, living in Arizona, and now Wisconsin, and also being from North Carolina and having traveled about into 40 something, 43, 44 states, I learned a lot about our country. And I think that has made my life better because if I meet somebody from someplace, I've probably been there or I've known somebody who has, and I know about the place, and so we can talk, we can communicate because we have something to talk about. And so I value all the experiences I've ever had uh, as an adult, and even when I was younger, going to different places because by going to different places, you learn new things, you meet new people, have new experiences, and gives you new opportunities. And so that's what I take from my time in Dodge City, Kansas during the years of 2009 2014. Thank you for listening to my memories of Dodge City, Kansas. If you have any questions about Dodge City, Kansas, or anything that I've talked about, please ask and I'll answer. Thanks for listening. Bye.